I won't call it de-thievery. Well, you are welcome. That is true. De-bravery, yes. It's not de-thievery. If I had not considered the context, it would have been de-thievery. So we have e-robbery and de-thievery. But in context, Prince wants us to believe that we have de-bravery, which I accept. Because it needs, you need to take a very brave stand to be able to come out with such initiatives. And no one should be deceived into thinking that we can do without some amount of sacrifice. I think that this is a kind of sacrifice Ghanaians should be ready for, but that sacrifice should not be abused by politicians. Politicians should do everything possible to use that sacrifice in the supreme interest of the nation and not in the interest of their pockets. That should also be made clear. So, in the first place, why is the implementation a problem to the minority? Because, as I said, I monitored development, and I knew very well that I saw that they were totally opposed to it. Why are they concerned about its implementation? So that is where the politicking comes in. And I think that now we need more responsible politics, not irresponsible politics. That's what we need. If you are opposed to something, you should be opposed to it in its entirety. Why? What has changed? Why are you opposed to ease as a concept? You are opposed to it as a concept. And then when it is not implemented, you are concerned. I think that is a kind of hypocrisy.
Not just hypocrisy, stupidity.
Well, and I think it should not be accepted. I strongly believe that let's all do away with our politicking. I want to believe NDC has also learned its lesson, and I hope that when it finds itself in opposition, it should know what to criticize and what not to criticize, how to do the criticism and how not to do the criticism. Let us all accept this bitter pill as a tool to enhance the quality of governance and the opportunities of development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you confirm, I'm just being asked, can you confirm that Afenyo Makins was the board chair of the ECG at the time when the ESLA was collateralized and wasted, for which reason this new 1 cedi is necessary? Can you confirm? Can you confirm? A viewer wants to know. But was he ever on the ECG board?
He was a board chair, but I'm not too sure whether.
I'm not sure it was at the time that. But what I can confirm
that
is
ESLA was collateralized.
That's one. ESLA was collateralized under the MPP. That's true. Yeah. It was wasted under the MPP, for which reason we need the 1 cedi. But what I can confirm is that he was on the board when the containers were being stolen, and he confirmed on the floor of Parliament himself that for 2 years he was aware that the contents were being stolen and he did nothing. That's stupidity.
Right. Now let me come to Mr. Solomon Owusu, who would also share his thoughts with us on this one. I know in principle he is not against the 1 cedi fuel levy, but what does he make of this latest development on this matter?
So, like I said, no government can develop without taxation. And going forward, some of the campaign messages of this, we started our politics with Kako, Kobe business. Then we moved into the fuel politics. Gradually, we are eliminating all these campaign messages with events of the time. So, at a point, it will be clear to everyone that no government develops or can develop without taxing the people. In fact, the sovereignty of this country resides with the people. The people are the shareholders, and as shareholders, you are responsible for making sure that the company, and here the company is the country, is strong, grows. And that is why I supported that position. It is a fact that the energy sector owes. And once you have to pay. And how are you going to pay? Yeah, so you have two options. You are faced with two options. Either you don't pay and you don't have light, or you sacrifice to pay and you have the light on. And electricity now is not a luxury, it's a necessity. You
actually, the mainstay of our economy now.
So, and it's not as though the Ghanaian doesn't want to pay taxes. Mind you, if anybody tells you that the Ghanaian does not know that he or she has to pay taxes, then that person must be coming from a different planet. What has made people not comfortable paying taxes is what politicians do with our money.
Exactly.
They steal with impunity. They steal as though we are idiots. We just pay taxes for them to come and steal. And that is why it appears that anytime government wants to tax the people complains. So to a large extent, I can understand the frustrations of our brother PDA. That people that should never be making statements concerning why a government must be raising revenue are the ones speaking. One of the people that is making the MPP unattractive is Afenyo Markins. It's Afenyo Markins. He feels politics is about just saying anything anyhow. The position is occupying was once occupied by J.H. Mensah. You know J.H. Mensah? The position he's occupying now was once occupied by Lawyer Edu of Tema as a leader of the MPP. Was occupied by Felix Japan as a leader of the MPP in Parliament. It got to you, all of a sudden, you gave yourself Osahin. I don't know which one you fought, battle you fought and won, and you gave yourself Osahin. And I don't know.
Because the same in English is what? Stupidity.
Stupidity and nonsense. Student politics is leading the MPP into no constructive criticism. No, you see, you must appear as a party that lost a hefty election, that has learned something out of it and ready to rebrand, reassure the people of this country that given the opportunity in the future, you will not behave the way a manner you behave. But how they are behaving now gives credit that they will be worse off in the future. So they can be speaking because this government is also being slow on picking some of them. I'm telling you, the evidence available to me, some of them must not be talking. They have really done this country a great disservice. They have stolen. All our cries in the last 8 years was as a result of TV. But hey, you see, the government must also communicate its position very clear to us as to why the suspension. That's number one. When do they intend? Because this war is not going to be today. They must communicate to the people of this country clear guidelines so that we are not kept in the dark. I mean, one of the things that I always tell people is that if you want to win the confidence of or the trust of the people, always carry them along. At any given time, explain the situation to them. Don't try to be hiding things, because the moment you try to hiding things, the things you try hiding will come and haunt you. And at that time, you will not be able to explain. So communicate to them in clear terms why it has been suspended, when you intend to bring it, because the law has been passed. And I tell you that the general consensus, I was here the last, I told you, if you listen to the GPRT and even concerned people, they were not too much against the introduction. Their concern was that they thought it should have started from 50 pesos. That's number two. There wasn't that enough engagement. And that was what they were worried about. But the Ghanaian knows that the actions and inactions of the erstwhile administration is what has brought us that far. You understand? But I believe maybe with the way and manner they say people are also paying money in terms of recovery.
Yeah, they're returning money.
That one, they have to open a special account, let the people of this country know
And the amount of money that would accrue.
I agree with you.
So that we know at each, because if only the national service, bless, 548 million Ghana cedis, and I believe that's a conservative figure. I can tell you there's more than that.
If you add an abyss one.
I tell you. And my national services is an institution under the Ministry of Education. If that agency alone, 548.
The math set hasn't come on.
It tells you that we may not need that one city if we are going to do a meticulous job.
In retrieving all that we have lost.
So much corruption there. Look, and here, let me digress a bit. The Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, he must be very serious as a minister. That guy called Jato also, whom they have given him the opportunity to be defending our lands or retrieving state lands. What is his role in this? What is his capacity?
What's the role of the military and the police?
I can't imagine that a private citizen is the one that has been entrusted to go and retrieve government. They have to be very careful. In the coming days, on the 1st of July, as we are saying, ALORMASOR, that Dato himself must come and declare all the land that he claimed he retrieved for the state in the past and how much share he got. All those land must be given back to the state.
How was he paid?
With lands. How can you pay lands belonging to the state to an individual? But this country, are we serious?
Hey.
You have military, you have the police, and you are going to engage the services of an individual who claims he has land gas. Why must you be promoting impunity when we have asked to pass the Vigilante and Other Offences Act? That kicks against the operations of land gas. You are rather going to engage someone whose activity is to engage land gas to be retrieving lands for the state when we have institutions. So it means our military is so weak. So weak, a military. No, I don't want you to come in because that Dato guy must, as a matter of urgency, be kicked out of the land sector. If the states cannot protect our lands, then we must collapse this country called Ghana and all of us take our bag and go wherever we want to go. Hey, what sort of life is it? A minister is a minister. We don't want to be hearing get it straight. If you are going to continue with the Jato business, on the 1st of July, ALORMASOR, we are going to put a lot of pressure on this administration. Believe you me, it's not going to be business as usual. If people are thinking that we are going to allow the government to have a fuse day, it's not going to work. So if there is any attempt to renew any contract with a so-called Jato, it must be terminated immediately. And those of you within the NDC circles who are pushing for that, pushing the minister to be doing that, Mr. Minister, look, today they say what? National Service, the directors are culpable. Now I hear some of them whispering into the ears of other friends that they were pushed into doing it by people in Jubilee. I said, you were a fool. You were pushed by someone. Did that person came to sign? Your signature is there. Mr. Minister, your signature will be there as the one signing an agreement between yourself and Jato, the ministry and Jato, and you will be held liable in future. So if Afenyo Markins is complaining that there wasn't any deep thought or thinking through in the whole process, he can say that because this is an opposition leader who has lost touch with reality. What he's doing in Parliament is to be heard so that there will be clemency. Have you been listening to his line of argument? The last time I heard him say that as colleagues, why are we persecuting each other? That tomorrow you also need us in times of difficulty. Who taught him that childish way of speaking? That even if someone has stolen, on the altar of being a member of parliament with your colleague, you must be allowed to go with your booty. Hey, you see, gentlemen, ladies, those of you watching us, be listening to politicians clearly. This guy does not deserve to be an assemblyman. I'm telling you that because they are all colleagues We are politicians. And so when one steals, we must shoo. And then when we also get the opportunity, we also come and steal. And then leave our people impoverished. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? So much damage has been done to this country. And one institution that I'm so disappointed in, that I believe that we must begin to audit they themselves, is the Audit Service of Ghana. That institution immediately, look, I'm going to go to court on this. Because you see, we are told that in 2018 to 2019, they stole 25 million from what? The National Service. 2019 to 2020, 21 million. 2020 to 2021, 55 million. And so, in all these periods, did they know that the National Service? What were their findings? What were their findings? They also go and take bribe and write, before they even go there, they have prepared their report. They don't do anything across board. Yet they draw salaries from us. Look, someone like Osesibe, he came from the KMA, is that not the case? For him to have been allowed to have stolen this from here, it means KMA, it was Gangan Tuan. Go and check the audit report at KMA, whether they cited anybody of any infractions. Mustafa Yusuf is allowed to have taken part in this. Is that not the case? Why was he moved to from the National Service Secretariat? You remember? Ministry of Youth and what? Sports.
You say loot and sports.
Loot is loot and sports. How many times haven't I come here on the issue of the All Africa Games, the 13th edition?
That's All Africa.
Million.
For just cooking watching, maybe two and the wife.
Yeah, for just like.
No, but did you say loot and sports? Loot and sports.
As a looter, they have been looting us.
No, but it should be loot and spoil. Oh.
Professor Amin Al-Hassan, I remember that episode. They nearly, a revered professor, someone who was doing his job at the GBC, as the director of GBC,
Yes.
they nearly put the man into trouble.
Yes.
Yeah.
They claim they are giving GBC $3 million. Meanwhile, he only took 105,000. Oh, we must go and look for him. Whatever he is, they must give him award.
He is a man of character.
Come on, just
You see, this was one boys. They nearly put the man into trouble.
He's a man of character.
Who was the minister then? Who was responsible for all those things? But audit will not find them culpable of anything. And I'm saying that audit service must be investigated. So corrupt. The guy took blasters to Abidjan, just Cote d'Ivoire here. If you are even angry, you can walk. He came back first try and said we are spending $3 million.
No, Pius did even better.
There's Australian guy. Where is he? Where is he? All of a sudden he has gone into arbitration.
When he said he would take people to America, America is closer.
Yeah.
Well, look, someone
He was able
wants
to
to
take people to Australia. So they vote for him.
By this country, in Kwasi Popa begins to look for positions. So his campaign message was actually that he was going to send people out of this country.
Yeah, based on the record that he did it to Australia.
Not to find them jobs here.
No, meanwhile, he had denied the Australian visa.
Oh, but he
During his campaign, he forgot.
it will come out. That's what I did. How do you think Alfeno came out to say that he was aware people were stealing? In fact, he witnessed people stealing.
For 2 years.
No, you will speak the truth. Yes, this country has suffered far too long. And so we must not be entertaining the lives of Afenyo and the minority. In fact, they have nothing to do. They have lost credibility before the people of this country. They are trying so hard to, as it were, discredit this administration. I don't have a problem with going that if you are coming with constructive criticism. We as a movement that will metamorphose into political party will come with a very nice way in terms of policy of calling out this administration. But in the absence of any serious policy, you must shut up and then just enjoy it.
But before he goes off, I want to clarify the part to do with the Jato bits, the Clemens Jato, Anyok Holdings is his company actually. I had the opportunity of speaking with the Minister for Lands because there was a newspaper article
Yes.
that the Jato contract had been revoked.
It has not been revoked.
Well, or renewed or something. There was something on that Jato contract. And so I spoke with the Minister. he told me he had revoked it and was going to publish it. I haven't seen the publication yet.
No, they're still there, still there.
I'm saying I haven't seen the publication
comes,
but he said he was going to publish it and that has been revoked. Now, this weekend, Jato called me. Yeah, he called me. We had an extensive discussion.
Okay.
And he denied some things. He claimed that the contract he had was from the Lands Ministry to build for the Agric Ministry.
Land Ministry to build for Agric Ministry.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me. I told him. And was given... So I told him. In fact, if you recall, the chief director of the Lands Ministry had been to Parliament. In fact, at the instance of the then deputy ranking member also, Suhini.
Yes.
And he said before the House that, one, the Lands Ministry had a contract with Jato's Anyok Holdings, and he was to reclaim state lands that had been encroached upon and was paid portions of the land. With portions of the land.
Can you imagine?
In fact, he mentioned 50 acres. On the floor of Parliament. He was laughing. And he indicated that he was protecting lands for the police and the military. Yes, that is what the chief director said. And that is the record in Parliament. Wow. Now, I remember Parliament wanted to institute, a probe, a committee of inquiry into it. I don't recall that any such committee was set up. But yes, Parliament can still set it up if it has not been done to put this matter to rest. But I can assure you that we will not rest.
No.
Whose lands? I mean, the aviation lands in cantonments is La Land. The aviation lands in Adenta is La Land. All those lands that is they gone. There was a gun shooting incident. I recall one morning, and the Joy FM host, Kojo Youngson, indicated, in fact, he said he had called National Security. It was a big program on that issue. And National Security suddenly said we're going to take over that investigation, and then he was going to report back on the Monday. Yes. How many years on? Almost 3-4 years on, nothing has happened. There's a lot of, cover-ups going on.
That is why
things. And I think that we must get to the bottom of it.
That's why it's very important that the
Oral must work.
Oral must work, and I agree. And just wrap.
The minister has to come clean on these.
Exactly.
He has to come out to tell us what is there. That publication should be now, so that we know.
I want to spell oral differently.
Yes.
With a double L. Oral with a double L. Yes. That operation recover all our lands.
Lands.
Yes.
All our lands.
No, for me. Because most of the lands that have been encroached or are being looted are our lands. Our lands are from Pediase, Adenta, Medina, Legon, Airport, Cantonments, Laboni, etc. So these are the lands that have been stolen.
I'll stay with Solo on the last topic. We have some 20 minutes more. I think 5 minutes each will do. Then we use the remainder for to read out messages that we have received from our cherished viewers. And it has got to do with the National Service Authority. And Solo mentioned that briefly. Some 548 million Ghana cedis has been embezzled. Some persons have been fingered in this. Gifty Owari, Mustafa, you see.
I wish you changed the word finger to something. That's a lot of money to finger. That's a finger.
When you mention finger,
and then immediately mentions Gifty Owari.
There's a police station called finger of God. Remember that one?
Yes. We had the election petition.
Has some mischief in him.
I'm looking at it from the perspectives of semantics. What I'm saying that in another context is a very serious word.
I knew that. I knew
you fingered Gifty Owari for 560 something million. That's a lot of money.
I think I'm staying with Solo on this one. The Attorney General, I think in a press conference, came to tell us all these things. But I mean, we all want to see these alleged, corporates brought to book, and it should be soon. And that's why we are saying that oral, must work. But briefly, Solo, on this issue.
So let me quickly say that one of the previous statesman of this country, Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, has written a very beautiful piece on why Ghana must restore the Republic Day holiday. Yeah. I agree with him 100%.
That's 1st July.
The 1st July, yeah. We must not on the author of anything change the relevance of that day to any other thing.
Yes.
Either than that, we will lose our history.
Yeah.
That day represents something. That was the day we actually became a sovereign nation.
Yes.
So if you replace it with the National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving, the unborn generation or the young ones may not understand the relevance of, yes, you may pray on that day, but we cannot lose the fact that it was a day that Ghana became a republic.
Right, so let's cut you short. I think, I mean, I was on tour. I represented Pan-African television on the president's campaign tour when he was flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress. Yes. And I think it was somewhere in the Upper East region, yes, when he mentioned that July 1 is going to be reinstated.
Yes.
So I'm sure there may be some constitutional.
No, they amended the Holidays Act.
Okay.
Akufo-Addo did that.
Yes.
So it has to be amended by Parliament.
Yes.
And so to the extent that the NDC has overwhelming majority, that shouldn't take much time.
Yeah.
We must revert. That was one of the injustices perpetrated by.
I think that it will be done, but maybe not this.
It has to be done. I agree with Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo.
I am 100% agree. Because until July 1, 1960,
yes,
the head of government was Kwame Nkrumah, but yes, the head of state was the British.
Yeah, so true. We cannot lose this our history, and it dovetails to the subject matter that you want us to say, which is the NSS. But you cannot treat the NSS in isolation with the various or the numerous corruption cases that happened under the Eswal administration. Let me tell you, this country was actually it was emptied. Let me put it mildly. In all facets, a group of people decided to come into government. They prepared what we call the Japadier book, played by that book to empty the coffers of the country. And that is what we are dealing with. And that the enormity of the situation, I'm telling you, if you were in other countries by now, people will not have the mouth to be able to go on radio stations. They will be leaving themselves, going early morning, you will see them at the Independence Square, going to pay the money there and running away from the country. Because the extent of damage is so huge. I'm telling you that close to 98% of the ministries, agencies, and departments, if the current heads are unable to identify that there were rots in the past, they themselves want to engage in that rot. I have cited the National Lottery Authority. You haven't come out with any rot over there. I'm just watching you people. Because there are documents to that effect. You understand? When the NSS issue first broke up, yeah, let me also pat the Attorney General at the back. I have heard propagandists who have gone, especially journalists, who always want to be, as it were, padded with some money. They have started their propaganda on various radio stations. And Attorney General must go to court. You must not be doing press conference. Mr. Attorney General, if you are listening to me, wow and good. Always do press conference. If you don't carry the people of this country along, yeah, you will lose the battle. They will turn the heat on you. So why? If you go to court, whatever you send to court is a public document.
Yeah.
And whatever he's saying is what he's going to send to court. Me, I'm happy because if he comes to lie about someone and at the end of the day you go to court and lose, the person will sue you. I will also follow and then bash you on top of it. I know those that have stolen that they're having BP, high blood pressure. I haven't stolen anybody's money. I sleep and sleep. I don't care. So the minister must carry us along. But the revelations are so telling. Were you not saddened by the sort of things that the Attorney General exposed? Were you not saddened? But I'm beginning to see some symbiotic relationship between height and how people steal. I thought when you are short, you steal according to the size of your height. Because if you are going to sew a cloth, you will not need more clothes.
2 years, yeah, okay.
You're okay, so it won't cost you much. So why must you steal beyond your height?
You mean they are not cutting their coat?
According to the side of their court, shortest in front, they are behaving like Zacchaeus. In the history of this country, the various presidents,
Oh my God.
Jerry Wallace was a bit tall. Is that the case? His levels of corruption was manageable. At least Salome and Co, they were in prison. But if you are going to compare how much they stole them to today, my God, they were angels. After President General who came, Kufuor was also tall. The ceiling in that government was also manageable.
Are you sure?
Comparatively.
Comparatively, yeah.
That Professor Mills was also a bit tall.
Yeah.
The stealing in there was also manageable. John Mahama came, the stealing in there was manageable. President Kufuor came, relatively shorter than all of them. See what happened.
Somebody says the height is like the National Service.
My God, I'm coming there. 548 million. Do you know that now some of the companies, private companies that engage themselves are themselves begging that their monies are ready? They want, come and take your money. Come and, do you know that's what's happening?
We need those monies.
Mr. or Dr. Yeni, for the sake of the continuity of this country, do not bend any rules. And those of you in the NDC, others who are begging for MPP, corrupt thieves, criminals, that hey, they are men, very soon, I say on the 1st of July, you put out the names. But you know what is happening. NPP patriotic people, few of them are giving hardcore information about the thievery that happened under the NPP. And guess what? NDC elders are begging for them. Hey, yeah, this country. In Manila.
I hear the NPP orders want to go and meet with President John Dramani Mahama and beg.
I will be surprised if that meeting will ever come on. That's one. Number two, if President Mahama also grants them that audience, then it means he wants to entertain criminality. One, to me, is not being persecuted or changed because he insulted President Mahama. Nobody is above insult anyway. We are talking about someone that has destroyed the environment. Someone who was given a road contract, road was not executed, money is gone. I have said that if we are going to do calculation, proportion, you know, Professor Miyakunfi was given a bail condition of 10 million Ghana cedis for $2 million. Let's ignore all the wrongs of Wontumi and just concentrate on the $45 million road contract in the Awasu area, Sekri area. That he didn't do it, but yet money is gone. Let's use that $45 million alone. Where did you do mathematics?
I did math.
So if $2 million is to 10 million Ghana cedis, what should have been the bill condition for $45 million? If more or less divide, if less more divide, 45 million divided by 2 times 10, it gives you 225 million Ghana cedis. That should have been the best condition for who to me. It goes around and talk anyhow. So what they are telling us is that the laws have been made for the poor. See what is happening in the case of Kenofurata. He is somewhere. Nobody has cited Kenofurata. Yet you have people who call themselves learned, intellectuals, lawyers. They are claiming the man is sick when you and I have never set eyes on him. Have you seen him?
No, I haven't.
They is so-called intellectuals, but don't forget they are part of the scheme. It's a cabal. They will come and speak as though they are neutrals. Their think that is a lie. No, all of them, their tanks are leaking. If these are the standards of tanks, then they are leaking more than anybody.
Somebody says we have the thing. We have the tanks. I think tanks.
We have the tanks, but the thing.
Let the thing is not there. We have not cited him. We have not heard from any doctor. Have you heard from any doctor from the Mayo Clinic? All you are shown is a document purportedly coming from Mayo Clinic, claiming that the man is sick. Yet you have people that call themselves lawyers, senior journalists, also repeating the same nonsense that the man is sick and so he must not come. Hey! Then who's going to face prosecution in this country anymore?
Thank you very much.
Let me end it here. Let me end it here.
Dr. Mansuk, let's hear you, sir. 5 minutes.
I think we are discussing anti-corruption.
Yes.
What has happened at the National Service is still within the context of allegation. So let me be fair to those whom the allegation has been made against. And, well, we are also very intelligent people. With all humility, we are not stupid. Yes. So we know very well that in every allegation, there might be an element of truth. So we wish the prosecution and the defense all the best of luck. We speak for the nation. We speak for the good people of this country. We speak for our own conscience. Anti-corruption is a strong instrument of responsible governance and democratic citizenship. But for it to succeed, it must be seen by the citizenry as a collective responsibility and a civic duty. And that is why that is why I want to advise political bootlickers in this country. Yes. Those who risk their lives and throng institutions of state simply because their demigods have been arrested. In fact, they must know that they are reducing themselves to willing participants in their own destruction. If you steal national resources, you steal money belonging to the state, you are a destroyer. You are destroying the future of this country. And if you, as a bootlicker, sometimes they call themselves veranda boys, other times they call themselves grassroots. Look, be a responsible grassroots person. If you can ignore your own weight, your own dignity, and you throng the Supreme Court or the office of Yoko or any other investigative state institution to protect a person who has been arrested because of alleged criminal conduct, then you are reducing yourself to a willing participant in your own destruction. And I think that must stop. My second point is that I am appealing to the Attorney General to do all the prosecutions in the supreme interest of the state. He should allow, he and the judiciary should allow the best practices in criminal justice to prevail. Let all these people understand that they are entitled to their rights. Give them every opportunity to defend themselves. And then at the end of the day, we want to see responsible prosecution, not persecution. Number 3, whatever Attorney General does to those people, our prime objective is to retrieve the loot. We want the money. And those who have even come out behind the scenes to bring the money should still be made to face public wrath. Public wrath in the sense of naming and shaming. Because if they do that, and we don't know them, they are more likely to do that again. We need to know them, so that we will not even give them the opportunity to steal again. I think this should be the focal focus of the government. The government and all Ghanaians, irrespective of our partisan affiliations, should see it as a national exercise, a patriotic duty, a civic responsibility for us to retrieve the loot from any person, whether NDC or MPP. The loot must be retrieved in the interest of the state.
Finally.
In the interest of the stool, I also ask for the land to be retrieved from the thieves. Operation Recover All the Loot must end in Operation Recover All the Land Loot as well for the La people and the people of Ghana. As I always keep saying, the people of Ghana have benefited from lands from all over Ghana, and these lands are not renewable. Lands do not grow. They cannot grow. Once taken, it's gone. And it's within that context that I was a little alarmed when I saw a front page of the Heritage this morning that says that Tumfo's Land Secretariat has been plagued with some fraud. We hold in esteem chieftaincy institution, and particularly the Ashanti stool has shown a certain clear leadership, and most of us are excited to see that it is possible. The Land Law Act 1036 has made it very clear that all lands, the stool lands, must be registered. In fact, any land that is sold post that, that's 2023 June, will be essentially illegal if it's not registered. And the stools must register their lands, but they must first set up stool land secretariats. Asante Hene has had a secretariat for a long time, so I was hopeful that would use that as a yardstick for getting others. In fact, the La stool secretariats must be set up shortly. Indeed, we must soon be having a La Manche, a new La Manche, to replace the one that is gone. Matters in Dodowa, that's a court, hopefully will be, addressed. And when they are addressed, we should have the installation of our new chief. And then land secretariat must come into being so that our lands can be registered, and then people who are transacting on our lands can have a legal regime within which to operate that's devoid of all those criminality, the double sale, and so on. Fortunately, the Lands Administration Project, Lab 1, Lab 2, have successfully digitized the map. And that includes all of lands from Peduasi all the way through Adenta, Medina, Legon, Airport, Cantonments, Laboni, and all that. And we expect that if all land transactions are done through the La Bank, then the transparency and accountability that is required by the land law will be achieved. The La Bank exists. And if that happens, it means also that we can ensure and guarantee that there will be a paper trail and electronic footprint of every transaction. So that illegal wealth thing and unexplained wealth that the Vice President was talking about, that the Speaker of Parliament is talking about, the lifestyle audit, which is critical to fighting corruption, can happen. Right. Indeed, proceeds of corruption, galamsey, and all kinds of money laundering happens in Ghana today through land transactions, allocation of government bungalows, allocation of state lands by criminally minded officials of the Lands Commission. Can stop, or at least can be traceable. I know that under the previous administration, the Works and Housing Ministry did an audit, and therefore they have the status of state lands and bungalows. I do know that recently also the President called for the Lands Commission to stop all transactions and to bring a report. I want to believe that same is available, and it must be made public. Transparency. In fact, the biggest solution to corruption is sunshine. Yeah. Transparency. Right. I want to entreat the President and the Lands Minister, including the Works and Housing Minister, to have these things published so that Ghanaians can be free in their minds to recognize that indeed this President means well and the lands of Ghana are being protected. Last but not the least, I want to support the call on the Attorney General to also air all the, the dirty linen, quote unquote, so that the current appointees of this government, in addition to the code and so on, will be afraid to repeat the wrongs of Akufo-Addo's appointees who were thieves. Right. Every single one of them must be made public. Right. The press conferences must happen. Ghanaians deserve to know. Operation Recover All Loot must work. And you said for 1st July. Let us all join. Right. I call on every Ghanaian and the citizens of Ghana to effect the arrest of the thieves if they resist. And if a fellow markets or anybody goes out there, arrest them.
Yes, thank you very much. On that note where you said sunshine, I mean, the sunshine is the cure to corruption. Yes. I'll say one thing I remember from media law class, and it was said by Jeremy Bentham. I quote, he said, "In the darkness of secrecy, sinister interest and evil in every shape have full swing, and that only in proportion as publicity has place can any of the checks applicable to judicial injustice operate."
Right.
And then where there is no publicity, there is no justice. Publicity is the very soul of justice. It is the keenest spur to exertion and the surest of all guards against impropriety. So sunshine is a cure
I
to
give
corruption.
you an A+ on that, and not A+ in Parliament, but an A+ in
Right. Thank you so much. This is
the Northern Regional Chairman of the MPP, Samba, he must also stay tuned. That road contract he took.
Oh, it was awarded to him and then he has not delivered.
70% of the money, I understand, gone to him, but nothing has happened. He should stay tuned.
That what do you call it, the housing project.